Welcome to Ali Fitness Podcast, a weekly production all about bringing health into fitness. With over 20 years' experience in the fitness industry, Scott Capelin began working in health clubs in the late 1990s after a career in the corporate world. After Scott helped build the very successful franchise known as Vision by managing several franchises in Sydney, he went on to create a successful gym with his brother, I believe. Still concerned, though, that society as a whole were eating more and moving less, knowing that food is less nutritious and many people are time poor, connected 24/7, he felt that there was a massive niche for a new facility, Embody. I went to Sydney, Australia to track Scott down and ask him how his new gym is different and so needed in today's society. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ali. Good to be with you.
So, as I said, I'm really excited to find out a bit more about, I guess, your journey to get where you are now, Embody, and then we'll go a bit deeper dive into Embody. So firstly, to understand your journey in the fitness industry, can you take us through maybe why you left the corporate world and how then you got into the personal training franchise and now to Embody?
Yep, I sure can. I guess like a lot of people in the fitness industry, I have a passion for health and fitness and sports and movement. Always played a lot of sport growing up, coached a lot of sporting teams, and at school I did well academically, and I also did well in the sporting arena. Left high school and went to university and studied a business degree because that's what my father did and all my friends were doing, and I quite enjoyed it actually. I specialised in marketing and legal studies, and beyond the degree I went and got a job in the corporate world in Sydney, and I held that position for a few years and I quite enjoyed that. I was in the marketing management section for Woolworths, pretty huge company. Anyway, my brother, who I'm really close with, he finished high school and entered the fitness industry. So I was watching him thinking, wow, that looks great. And I've always wanted to do that. So in my mid-20s, I thought I'd complete my fitness industry qualifications and go and enter the fitness industry, always feeling that you can go back to the old office job anytime. That was in 1999, and I never looked back. Nearly 20 years ago now, I always feel like as soon as I started doing work I was passionate about, I felt very congruent with what I was espousing, more or less. You know, I got out of a suit and got into shorts and a t-shirt. I was working in the gym, pretty huge hours, but income doubled, job satisfaction tripled. I felt like I'd kind of found my calling. I was involved at the very beginning of Vision Personal Training, and at the time we were operating more or less a business out of a large commercial health club. That health club ended up undergoing some changes, and they asked the trainers to move on, and we moved into a warehouse and spent 5 or 6 years getting the franchise model right. And then the first couple of franchises were opened by myself and my brother, and they did quite well. And then another one opened that did really well. I was the first person to have 2 franchises, and they did really well. And then it felt like, it took 8 years to get sort of 4 Vision studios open, and then the year after that, 30 opened. So that was a good lesson in sort of systems and marketing, leadership management, and also, I guess, just getting the processes right in delayed gratification. Probably one of my huge drivers in life is personal growth. After being with Vision for 12 years, I felt like it was time for a change, and I'd always had a goal to have a business with my brother. So we opened up a commercial health club called Tribe Social Fitness. I thought there was an opportunity to do something in between these micro gyms, these boutique, high-priced facilities like Vision, and the large commercial health clubs. So I thought to myself, what are the great things about a personal training studio? And in my mind, it was that we have excellent culture, we make people feel comfortable, we know people's names. There's a huge focus on education and motivation and accountability as well as nutrition. But I felt like they were kind of price prohibitive, and the systems were quite rigid, and they didn't work for everybody, and even the price of the service was out of reach of 90% of the population. On the flip side, you got the big box mega gyms with 5,000 to 10,000 members, where there's a couple of hundred classes a week and huge change rooms and child minding and everything you could think of for $20 a week, which I think is pretty fantastic value. Downside being they can be pretty intimidating. We all know with the big gyms that only about 20% of the members actually turn up. So something in the middle where there was a good culture, a strong focus on personal training, really great product for the end user, the member, but also a really strong financial driver for the owner. And that's where Tribe was created. Anyway, back to growth, and 3 or 4 years on from Tribe, I felt like both society and myself were changing a lot, having a big shift towards things like yoga and Pilates, and people being prepared to pay a bit more for a more personalised boutique service. So I also thought, gee, there's not many health clubs around that are more than what I'd call a 3-star facility. So I thought if I could just gather together a few concepts, be ahead of the curve, but not too far ahead to be different, I could create something pretty special. That's how Embody was born. Along the way, I did some business coaching and consulting, and I opened up a couple of beauty salons just for a bit of fun that did work quite well, actually. But my heart's really in the health and fitness sector.
That's an interesting story, Scott. And I'm really interested to find out why you got interested in yoga and Pilates, because I know Vision sort of didn't really do anything to do with yoga and Pilates. And then obviously Tribe with your brother didn't either. And when I look at your physique and your training, I assume that you've done a lot of weightlifting. And I guess by looking at you, I wouldn't have guessed that you were a yogi or into Pilates. So tell us about your personal journey and how you sort of discovered those.
Yep, sure, I can do that. So, yeah, again, I've got a huge background in rugby league, which is a pretty full-on contact sport. I've run a bunch of marathons and I've done 3 bodybuilding competitions. So, yeah, some people say to me, oh, you don't look like the guy that is the founder of Embody. However, as I approach 40 years old and the body starts to change and feel a bit different, about 10 years ago, I got into Pilates, and then I ended up becoming a master Pilates instructor. And having a little bit of a bad back, Pilates was really amazing. However, I didn't feel as though it helped me 100%. And then I found yoga, and that really completed the picture for me. So, yeah, I still love my weight training, but I do Pilates twice a week, yoga twice a week, did an amazing class just earlier today. Yoga is interesting. I think with people, they can feel as though yoga and Pilates are mutually exclusive, like it's one or the other. But I think they're both beautiful forms of movement, both for kind of different reasons. Like if it was about core strength, you'd choose Pilates. But in terms of mobility and flexibility, and the huge one being mindfulness, yoga really is unparalleled. So, yeah, I think Embody, like one of our taglines is welcome to the new era of fitness. And sometimes on a personal level, I think that's just my new era of fitness. So I'll just make everybody do it. I think in terms of holistic wellness, I think you've got to eat well. Like I've always been fascinated by what happens at the intersection of physical wellness, optimal nutrition, and mental well-being. And your body's designed to cover all those things. So I think, yeah, you've got to keep your body fat down. You've got to keep your strength up, your mobility up. It's great to look good, but these days people are so busy and they're always doing the job of 2 people. Food really is terrible out there. You've got to make a huge effort to eat well. And I want to give people the tools, the systems, the means, and the accountability to do all that. So, yeah, to answer your question, my personal health and fitness journey has gone from running and weights into, still doing my weight training. I think there's huge benefits for your metabolism and your body shape. I think weight training is the fountain of youth. And from a scientific perspective, just the amount of growth hormone that is released in testosterone when you do some weights, it really makes you look and feel amazing. But it's got to be combined with your yoga and your Pilates and some sort of a fitness element as well as eating good.
So, Scott, just to, I guess, summarize then, how would you define this new era that, I guess, Embody has embraced?
Well, I deeply believe that the world needs health, fitness and wellness studios that take care of both the physical and the mental needs of its members and that give people everything they need to perform at their best in today's world. So many people out there need guidance in relation to nutrition, and they also need an outlet that allows them to switch off and tune into themselves, even if it's just for an hour a day. So I'd never seen this balance executed well in the health and wellness sector. So Embody's the first studio of its kind to embrace all elements of holistic wellness and deliver them in a warm, friendly environment with first-class customer service.
So how do you actually do that?
A huge part of it is the way that a new member is inducted or brought in to our facility. So being a boutique high service model, we ask everybody that starts with us to commence with a consultation. And it's a really thorough consultation. It takes an hour. There's actually 2 stages to it. But in the first consultation, I'll give you an example of some of the things that we work through. So imagine you've been to the studio for the first time. We do a tour because coming to join a gym or any sort of formal fitness facility can be a huge step for a lot of people. So once they find out that, hey, this place is actually clean, the people are friendly and passionate, goes a long way to getting people to join up. And then we sit down, we get a feel for people's health history.
So Scott, sorry to backtrack there. Just on the tour, can you just take us through the tour now? I mean, obviously we can't see the facility. We can look online at embody.com.au, but also if you can just sort of explain to me what it looks like and how it potentially is different to other gyms.
Okay, there's a few parts to that. Yeah, people come in and it is a truly 5-star facility. Now, I come from pretty humble beginnings, so I'm not really all about the fancy stuff, but it's really beautiful, and I think people deserve a lovely place to train. A lot of the finishes are sandstone, marble, bamboo, polished plaster, all these lovely things. Now, the studio itself has a huge environmentally friendly sustainability piece. So the paint is non-toxic. We've chosen bamboo because it's the most sustainable wood in the world. The light shades and curtains are handmade from hemp. Our uniforms of the staff, our towels, they're all bamboo. Again, the sandstone is locally sourced. So there's a rule with sustainability in terms of construction that elements have got to come from within 100 kilometres of the building site. So we're really proud of our sustainable focus all the way down to the living green plant walls, which breathe oxygen into the space. So, yeah, we go
And even
through,
the yoga floors were cork, weren't they, from memory?
That's actually recycled rubber.
Oh, wow. Okay. It felt like cork.
Yeah. Well, it's cork. It's the same colour.
Yeah.
It looks like cork, even down to the little caramel flecks in the rubber. But that had to come from the USA because in Australia there's only one colour, and that's black, which I often think that in gyms, black rubber is this non-verbal female no-go zone. If you go to the gym, you look at the weights area, there's no ladies there, and black's not very aesthetically pleasing, but hey, it's not hard to change your colour. So yeah, the interior design, like one of Australia's best interior designers, Shayna Blaze, did our design. She's a judge on the block, and she's also got her own TV show on Selling Houses Australia, and she was amazing to work with. She just totally got the brief straight away. She's a yogi herself. Yeah, we're really happy to work with people like her to bring the vision to life. So back to the tour, the change rooms are really nice, and the group exercise rooms are really nice. But I'll tell you something interesting. Last week I did a survey. There was 4 questions on the survey, and question 1 is, what's more important to you, a 5-star interior or friendly service, and the fact that Embody staff knows your name? So this survey went to our members, and 93% of people said the friendly service is more important than a nice interior, which is interesting to me, but I think it all adds to the customer experience.
That is interesting. And actually, when I first met you, Scott, you mentioned also that you'd recently done a survey, and it was a different survey, and it was one that you asked how important it was that the studio was environmentally friendly. And I think you said something like 40+% actually
43% of people said they joined for that reason. So yeah, it's interesting how many people out there deeply concerned or will do something that aids the environment.
That's great.
Even though, we don't have any gym equipment that requires power. So we're trying to leave a very small footprint. Where were we? I think we were talking about
you're saying the bathrooms are nice, and I assume they've got environmentally friendly soaps and... Yep,
all that stuff, the organic cleaning products. Actually, the products that we use to clean the studio are organic. I'm talking about the things to clean the floor and the machines. But yes, the grooming products in the change rooms are all organic. Yeah, they're really nice. So yeah, it costs a bit of money, but it's one of those corners that we don't ever want to cut. Yeah, so that's it. You're asking me about the tour.
Yeah, so you said, though, Embody was a bit of a different studio in that it, I guess, had a few different elements to it, and one was, offering both yoga and Pilates. What other things do you offer there?
Going back to URSA, like the world's largest fitness convention, I think I went there in March 2016, and we looked at the top 6 fastest growing areas of health and wellness within facilities globally, and they were yoga, Pilates, personal training, small group training, bar, and adding a mindfulness element such as meditation. And okay, so those 6 areas are the fastest growing. They're not done anywhere in one place. So I thought, I'll do that within a 5-star environment. That's a huge part of how the model came. So Embody's about holistic wellness, and we wanted to be a multi-dimensional business, but still stay within a niche. We are in Australia, of course. You've got to be a bit more multi-dimensional than you can be in the USA due to our lower population. And look, as a commercial driver, those 6 areas I just mentioned just happen to be the areas that you can charge the most for. So in our value proposition, a lot of our members are used to going somewhere else and paying $25 for a yoga class, or $20 or $45 for an aerial fitness class, and going there 3 or 4 times a week to different places. So they might go somewhere for their Pilates and somewhere for their bar, and then they might have to join a commercial gym just to fill in their gaps, where we want to be a one-stop solution for holistic wellness and provide heaps of value. So for our membership of $59, $69 a week, people can come every day. So instead of them going out elsewhere to spend $80 to $160 a week on their classes, here they can come on a membership and train daily, even do 2 classes in a row, which is really common. People do Pilates and go into meditation afterwards, or they might do a kettlebell class and back that up with a restorative yoga class. So yeah, it's really cool seeing people combine all the different modalities.
Great. And Scott, take us through that hour consult that you're about to take us through after the tour.
Cool. So yeah, we're about holistic wellness. And it's kind of like what holistic wellness means to me. Someone's come into the studio for the first time. They've had a tour. Explain all the little things, where you put your things, how you check in when you arrive. And then we go to one of our consult rooms and we get a feel for their health history, which basically means the responsible stuff. Do you have any issues with your health? Knees, back, ankles, elbows, and all the other stuff, diabetes, health history, lifestyle screen. And then the first thing we do is measure someone's body composition. So we have a machine called Embody scanner, which is super duper accurate, tells you everything down to what you had for breakfast. But main things we look for is body fat percentage, fat mass in kilograms, muscle mass. It measures hydration levels, protein levels, all these sorts of things. And it produces a medical grade report that tells us where somebody's body fat is in relation to the population and how much fat they may need to lose and how much muscle that they may need to gain. So that can be a real eye-opener for a lot of people. Moving on from there, we go into what we call a health and wellness evaluation, which is a few basic tests like an upper body strength test, core strength test, leg endurance test, heart rate test, blood pressure, flexibility test, and another test that measures functional mobility called the sitting and rising test. So between all of those little tests, and we try not to use that word because it scares people, we feel as though we have a great feel for somebody's current level of health and wellness. So I guess a lot of people come and they think, oh, I want to do some Pilates. But again, like I want to turn that want into a need and just highlight to people where they're doing really great and where they need a lot of work. Moving on from that health and wellness evaluation, it actually produces a personalized report that makes recommendations on what somebody needs to do. And then after all of that, we sit down and I'll say to the new member, so tell me about your goals. Everybody starts with an aim in mind. I think with health and fitness businesses, as time passes, that aim can start to diminish or reduce, or people 6 months down the track, they forget why they joined in the first place and they more or less cancel. So somebody might have a goal of, I'll give you some examples. I mean, broadly speaking, the goals end up being something like, weight loss, improve my appearance, take up meditation, do Pilates, do yoga, improve strength, improve health, increase energy, sleep better. We also ask other questions, like one of the questions is describe your last 10 years of exercise. People say things like amazing, I've never missed a session, or they might say quite consistent, or they might say rather sporadic, or they might say non-existent. So between understanding where somebody is in terms of this overall spectrum, health, body fat, strength, fitness, and then asking them about their history and asking them about their goals, we can produce a weekly training plan, customize a personalized report for that person. Yeah, still on stage one, actually. What are we doing? Yeah, we just run through the weekly report, and that takes at least an hour. And then obviously at the end of that first session, we explain our rates and the different options people have. Moving on from there, we go to stage two, actually, which includes a posture analysis, a deeper functional mobility assessment, and we look at somebody's whole life. Like we have a chart called Life Harmony Areas, also often referred to as the Wheel of Life, which looks at greater things like there's 10 areas on the Wheel of Life, and health is actually one area. So then we talk about Embody's 7 wellness principles, like what we believe is the key to wellness. And then the system actually produces the old biological versus chronological age. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do, yeah.
And then after all that, we cover nutrition, which is a huge area in itself. So I guess the alternative is say, hey, Ali, thanks for joining. Here's your membership. Good luck. Or we could actually spend 2 1-hour sessions. I always say to people, when you start with a consultation, it really makes the future of your training more results-oriented and just more professional. So otherwise, people just get 3 weeks in and they say, oh, I've had no guidance. I don't know what classes to do. You just got to explain to people what's on offer. Like somebody might never have done yoga and we just encourage them to do yoga and they meet one of our beautiful, warm teachers. And then I've seen so many people in their 30s and 40s just fall in love with yoga, people who never would have considered it before.
Wow. And Scott, can you share with us the 7 disciplines that Embody embraces?
Basically, our 7 wellness principles. It's a funny thing too. Like I always think if you're a health and fitness business, you've got to have a philosophy or a viewpoint or a standpoint, And then on the flip side, we're a people business, and things like exercise and nutrition, they can be so personal for people that it's hard to sort of be extremely rigid. But I'm a big fan of flexibility within a framework. Our 7 wellness principles are to eat real food, to work out, to work in, power down, play, expand your mind, and act and eat ethically. And these principles form the basis for our 3 modes of action, which are move, replenish, and unplug. Those 7 areas obviously all get built out and expanded upon, but we think between nutrition, mental well-being, and also physical exercise, the 7 areas really encompass those things.
And when you say unplug, what are you referring to?
Unplug, we're referring to meditation. We're referring to mindfulness or stillness. We live our whole life in our conscious brain or our monkey mind or our beta brain. So we're trying to get people to slip into alpha, delta, and theta. So we do that through meditation. And one of our signature classes is our cocoon meditation, which is done laying in the aerial silks, somewhat like a silkworm, and with the candles on, the lights down, and it's actually guided by a meditation teacher. And it's really cool and innovative. And I think just having something that's a little more fun or quirky than sitting on the ground with your legs crossed really gets people to try it.
Absolutely. And Scott, there's one thing that you haven't mentioned that I felt was a big part of your business, and something that really attracted me was the importance of the social aspect. How important do you actually think that is, and how do you ensure that you continue to grow that as you expand your footprint, and how do you even attract that social element?
Yeah, it's a good point. Like my last gym was called Tribe Social Fitness, and back to that point earlier about joining a health club can be a big step for a lot of people. I've always wanted to be the gym that people join when they say, I've never joined a gym before. I love gyms. It's easier for me to say. I love going all over the world, checking out different gyms, and I've always thought the gym is just a super positive place with positive staff, and we can just really be the highlight of someone's day or sometimes their life. Look, I believe a business, especially a health club, can be built on culture and community. I've always felt that around about half of society seek our services because they've got a passion for exercise, and the other half of our members don't want to do exercise at all, but they feel like they should. So, in a sense, you're selling something to somebody who doesn't want to buy it. They just think it's a necessary evil to have a better life. Most people know I should do some exercise. The social aspect can make the experience so much more positive for people. Like I'm passionate about, making the gym a place that's friendly and welcoming. So many times I've heard people say, I've never been a member of a gym before, but I love it here. And I love to change the stereotype of what some people feel a gym or a personal trainer or a group exercise instructor is. We're not all just meatheads and bimbos. I also love providing stable, fulfilling careers with huge opportunities for growth and development for health and wellness professionals. I've done really well out of the health and fitness industry, and I think it can be such an amazing vocation. But the stats on how long people last, or if you look at the various career opportunities for personal trainers and group teachers, they're really limiting. So if somebody can come into a company that's growing and have opportunities for growth, but also have opportunities to literally have a full-time job in one place, it's really cool. Now, that also forms the basis of our culture because our team members must know all the members' names. And then when you've got the same team members there all the time, the members get to know them, and that's how community develops. Yeah, so, sometimes I say to the guys in the team, what industry are we in? And people say things like health and wellness and fitness, and I think we're in the relationship business. So Embody team members have their relationships with the members, and I've just got to retain the team. The team looks after the members ensure the business is successful, and the business looks after me in the end. And that's the cycle I operate from.
Absolutely. And I think another, reason why that you're a 5-star facility is the fact that you have this amazing retention rate.
Are you saying that the nice interior retains members?
No, I'm talking about your staff. The fact that you've had them for so long.
I want the guys to have a beautiful place to work. If you're a yoga teacher or a personal trainer, it's great to have a wonderful work environment,
absolutely,
including little things like the team room. It's got to be a place to to unplug. We're in people's faces all day, and the guys put a lot of energy in. Like people that enter the fitness industry, they've got beautiful hearts and they want to help people. Yeah, I just like to kind of nurture that.
And Embody has a lot of events, which I think adds to this social aspect. What sort of events do you have, and where do you get the ideas for things like that?
Some of the ideas come from me Googling pretty much every health and fitness business in the world, seeing what they're doing. Look, again, it comes back to the culture. And most people these days have been a member somewhere. If they've been a member somewhere and they're coming here, that means they've left somewhere else. And my aim is they don't leave Embody. There's a saying that we can't keep everyone forever, but we can always keep them longer. Now, people want some variety. We actually do a lot of research, as it turns out. About 75% of people want variety, and about 25% of people are kind of like me and just want stuff to be the same all the time. I think, how can we give people variety under one roof? And a huge part of that is our calendar of events. So people at Embody are members. They are members. We don't do purchases for single classes. We don't sell packs. You're either a member or you're not in. And even the membership model is key to having a culture because we get to see the same people all the time and they become part of our family. But look, some of the examples, we do our 4-week health and fitness challenge. It could be a weight loss challenge. In February, we've got a mindfulness challenge coming up where we're going to encourage people to meditate each day for 30 days. We do workshops. Sometimes the things that I think would not go well on the timetable if they were there every single week. It's a great chance to do them on our calendar of events, which members can come to as part of their membership for no extra cost. So a pranayama yoga breathing session or a Tai Chi session or a Qigong session, things that may not be good on the timetable every week. We do sound healing sessions, even external things like bushwalking, crystal sound baths. Recently we did sea kayaking. These fun things that people want to do. We have a meditation teacher come in and did a 4-week series of what she calls Soul Sundays, which is basically, sounds a bit cosmic, but had crayons and we were creating art as a form of meditation and therapy. We do Pilates at the beach, outdoor yoga, that sort of stuff. We do yoga workshops for people that want to dip their toe in the water that may consider doing their yoga certification to become a teacher. We do nutrition seminars. We do aerial yoga workshops, anti-aging seminars. We do movie nights, and we try and make the movie night kind of educational. So I hired 100 beanbags, and we have a room that has televisions in it, and we watched a couple of documentaries like Food Matters, just educational things like that. So, and we also do, popcorn and stuff, make it a bit fun. But yeah, there's heaps of things.
And do the members pay extra for things like that?
About 85% of the calendar events is free. The only things that get charged, like sometimes there's an entry fee for a challenge. What else? I'm just looking at a list of calendar events as we speak, actually, and I can't see any of them costing much. Even our parties, we have 3 parties a year, and members love that sort of thing. And actually, every business I've owned previously, we would charge a ticket for the party. But look, I just figure people spend enough, and it's nice to say thank you. On top of that, I do like to consider myself somewhat of a philanthropist, but the average member at Embody spends $100 a week. So that's $5,000 a year. It doesn't hurt to give back some things. And I think, you mentioned our retention rate before. It's really good. The best I've ever been involved with for what is actually the highest cost club I've ever owned. We lose about 1% of our members a week. So on 500 members, we're losing about 5 a week. Like if they're spending $5,000 a year, that's $25,000 a week we're losing, times by 50 weeks a year. It works out to be 1.25 million. So I like to funnel a couple of $100,000 a year back into the members, and that's what's responsible for our attrition rate not being double what it is.
That's definitely a secret to a successful brand. What else would you say would be a secret recipe for a successful brand or facility in this case?
Branding is something I'm really passionate about. There's a big difference between business and a brand. So if you've got a logo, that's not a brand. Most businesses are transactional entities. They're not brands. So my favorite definition of a brand is it's like a promise that elicits a consistently positive emotional response. So think of brands like, a nice hotel you've stayed at or a Ferrari showroom. Like they make you feel something, even the ones people always use like Apple. I think a business needs to get clear on what's at the core of its DNA. So, a business could be broadly categorized as like a mother or a mechanic or a missionary. So a mother being customer-centric. That's what we are at Embody. A mechanic is a business who prides himself on building systems and tools as solutions to problems. Missionaries are very vision-focused. So I've been involved in large-scale fitness businesses that are mechanics and provide systems. However, it's hard to escape the fact that in the fitness industry, we are dealing with human beings who have needs and goals, and I find that the customer service-based mother approach works best. In health and fitness, you could be a sales-focused business or a retention-focused business. Like ultimately, you've got to be both. But we all know that the statistic in business where it's cheaper and easier to retain a current customer than to find a new one. So I find it quite bemusing that most health clubs have got a marketing budget of $100,000 a year and a retention budget of $0. So Embody's got a strong member appreciation strategy that's designed to show our valued members that we really care about them. And as a result, our retention is the best of any business I've ever been involved with. Yeah, so went off on a bit of a rampage there, but yeah, I just think branding's different, and I've put a lot of time and thought and effort into the brand. If it was just about a transactional business, it's easy to make the income exceed the expenses, and there you go, you got a business. Yeah, I wanted to build something special with Embody and build a brand. And I think if you look at some of the major health brands in Australia and around the world at the moment, they're in decline, and I think there's an opportunity for a brand to jump up and take the top spot.
And I think you've clearly done that with your brand, but how do you ensure that this will continue as you grow your footprint?
Yeah, I'm also pretty fascinated by companies that maintain strong positive culture as they grow. So all the things I've mentioned with the customer service focused culture, like I think nothing happens without systems, and everything in our business is a system, like the calendar of events. Like when a member joins up, they get a bunch of flowers, they get a thank you card. We have a weekly system of offering members free personal training, and it's all designed to make the member feel like they're getting more than they are paying for and to create a perception of value. Now, those things, they're not hard. All it is a system. The system's written down and somebody is responsible for implementing it. And that'll happen across the board on a large scale.
And Scott, what are your plans for the future of Embody?
We're about to embark on a pretty exciting opportunity where we're going to open a club in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. That opens in March 2018. And we're just in negotiations to open up 2 more Sydney-based studios. So my goals by the end of 2019 is to have 5 Sydney-based Embody studios. By the end of 2021, just increase that to 10. So I'm not going for 50 or 100. I just want to have 10 across the Eastern Seaboard, Queensland, New South Wales, Melbourne. In negotiations for Embody in Belgium and Sri Lanka, which is pretty cool. And I'd also like to pursue the hotel market, the 5-star hotel market, to really add value to the entire hotel offering through the health and wellness club located within, and to enhance the hotel's business, because a lot of people will book a hotel based on the quality of the gym. They will repeat book based on the quality of the gym. And I can help make the gym a lot more profit through that space, which is traditionally considered to be, again, something they've got to have for the dead space, but I want to make it really vibrant. Australia-based studios and overseas through the hotel market.
Excellent, Scott. And if someone's listening to this and perhaps are interested in opening up a franchise, would you be open to that sort of proposal?
Yep, we're in negotiations with franchisees at the moment. Really clear with franchisees. Like, the thing with Embody is that I've always wanted to be the most profitable health club per square metre in the world. And we do that through the service we provide, the rates we charge, but the value we provide. I think the size of the club is not huge. So we're in clubs that are kind of 4 times smaller than the average commercial gym, with equipment costs that are 10 times less, with rates that are 5 times higher. So it's a nice little recipe. With franchisees, I'm very clear in explaining to them what's involved in running a health club. More often than not, people don't know what they don't know. But what I'm really good at is, setting up, I guess, mutually beneficial opportunities. And in the fitness industry, you get a lot of fitness professionals, especially personal trainers, that aspire to a management role. So I've always felt there's a huge sort of a chasm between the people who want to run health clubs that can't afford to open them and the people that can afford to open them that don't know how to run them. So I just marry up people who want to open them up and people who want to run them, and we make pretty successful joint ventures.
Awesome. That's interesting, because obviously at the personal training franchise that you worked at, you would have seen a lot of instances where people couldn't afford to open up their own franchise.
Yep, I could see that. But again, like any franchise you see out there that grows pretty fast, they're usually really simple and they're really inexpensive to open. And, I guess by the time a franchise has got some history of success, some of the major banks will lend half the cost to the franchisee, and oftentimes the franchise company will lend a bit more. So the biggest barriers in life, I guess, in business are always time and money, and with a proven model, money can be taken off the table. I don't think that's the biggest issue. I think the biggest issue is successful people operating them. Just because a business has systems doesn't mean it's going to be successful. I know that firsthand, because just like any market, you got 20% of the people up top killing it, 70% of the people in the middle getting by, and 10% of the people wishing they could get out yesterday. So it's all about leadership. You're better off not opening something than having a weak leader.
And Scott, I guess in terms of gyms, where do you think the world is going in 10 years' time? What do you see? What do you think we'll see around the place? At the moment, there's a lot of 24/7 gyms.
Yeah. I guess if you look at the history, and also, again, like going to the fitness conventions around the world, and some of the best ones are in Australia, just learning about what's happening. And, those big gyms that we spoke about earlier, the 2,000-3,000 square metre health clubs, we call them the big box health clubs. And the big boxes were really popular in the 90s and the noughties, and they started to get taken over by the budgets. You got your Anytime, then Jets Plus, Snap, those ones. Now, whilst the big boxes declined, the budgets grew. Now the budgets are declining, and it's about the boutiques. So we've gone big boxes, budgets, boutiques. And I think the next decade's about the boutiques. Even Wall Street Journal article last week said last year budgets grew 5%, boutiques grew 74%. But look, there's other reasons for that as well. Boutiques are just easier to open because they cost less, and it's easier to find a commercial premises. Look, the huge X factor for me is technology, and that's changing so fast. Like I read last week that the technological advancement innovation between 2017 and 2022 is going to be equivalent to the last 100 years. So, we're always hoping there's not going to be a magic bullet where people can take a tablet once a day and they're super fit and healthy. But look, at the end of the day, you got to move. And I think at least the next 5 years is about boutique health clubs that are very service oriented. And the reason there's not more around is because they're a bit more high maintenance.
And how do you think the technology industry will influence Embody?
Oh, look, that's a good question as well. I mean, like I say, we're a relationship business. Sometimes we feel that the more people are connected online and through social media, the more they're craving actual real person contact. And we have a theory called third place theory. It's not really my theory. It's just a theory that everybody has three places in their life: home and work, and the third place. And we like to be that third place for people. I'm hoping that apps and virtual reality contact lenses don't phase the fitness industry out. Look, I think the only positives are things like, I spoke before about our health and wellness system where we introduce new members, and that's largely online. It produces beautiful graphs and a lot of data. Members keep their food diary online. We book classes online, and a huge part of that too is so we can reduce as much paper as we can for our environmentally sustainable focus. Look, yeah, we make use of technology, that's for sure.
And do your members you mentioned they have a program. Do they actually have an online program where they mark things off?
Only if they have a personal trainer. So at Embody, people can join and they can choose to do a membership where they can come to the classes, or they can choose to do classes and have a personal trainer, or some choose to have a personal trainer only. The option for more service, more accountability, more motivation, and a personalised plan long term is personal training. That's where we have strong systems for accountability. Yeah, aside from that, people just come to our classes.
So it sounds like technology won't really influence such a customer-focused environment.
Yeah, possibly not. I just don't want to be that guy that said heavier than aircraft will never take off.
I actually thought your unplug being one of your 3 elements of, I guess, mission statements was actually unplugging from the internet and Facebook.
Oh, well, it sort of is like it all ties in. I mean, when I started my career, I didn't have a mobile phone. Now I feel it's part of my anatomy. I mean, you're always looking at it, must check my email 20 times an hour. And yeah, just to put that away and do something for yourself, whether it be a yoga class, a Pilates class, a PT session, or a meditation session. We say Embody is an urban sanctuary, a place where you can come. It's beautiful inside. Put your phone away, which you have to because we've got a no phones in the classes rule. And people do their thing.
Scott, I'd love to ask you, for clients that don't, I guess, have the opportunity to go to a place like Embody, maybe they will soon, what would you suggest they do? Let's say, for example, they're going to a 24/7 fitness gym and they're sort of one of those people that are doing it because, like you said, that they know they should exercise. They do a bit of weights, they do a bit of cardio. They're not really sure what they're doing. They feel like they're ticking the box.
Oh, no, yeah. It's a great question. I mean, I really, really love personal training, and I believe in it so strongly because I've seen so many times what it can do for people. You know what blows me away? I used to own regular commercial gyms, and I'd see someone come in and do 3 sets of bicep curls, 20 minutes on the treadmill, and then come back 2 weeks later. Just, really ineffective stuff. So to answer your question, I'd ask somebody to firstly get a little bit clear on what they want to achieve or try. And again, the funny thing is, I know people that have been going to the gym for 15 years, and then when I speak to them, I say, what program are you doing? And they say, I don't really know. I'm just doing what the person in front of me has been doing. It's like, wow, people who you think know what they're doing still don't. So I guess I would encourage somebody to do 10 sessions with a personal trainer and start those 10 sessions by saying, yeah, look, I really want to increase my overall health and wellness. I'd like to do some weights. I'd like you to recommend what cardio I do. And I'd like to also incorporate yoga and Pilates or all sorts of things, bar, and then all you need there is the facility or options or places to go. So people can structure their own plan. It just helps to get a bit of advice and accountability and just make sure you're doing things correctly. I mean, nutrition's a huge one as well, and you might talk to 10 different people and get 10 different nutrition plans, but I think too you've got to be a little bit intuitive with nutrition and find out what works for you. And for me, personal training's always been not just a physical experience for the client, it's an educational experience. So we could try a nutrition plan for 4 weeks. It might agree with the person, it might not. We try something else. But if someone's had a personal trainer for 6 months, at the end of it, they've got to know what works and what doesn't. Otherwise, it's just bad PT.
And just off that, how would you know whether that personal trainer is really giving you the great advice?
Oh, look, that's a good question as well. And, like any industry, I guess you've got your good ones and your not so good ones. What can you do, really? Gosh, you could ask for a recommendation or a referral to a good personal trainer, or you could just try somebody and use your own judgment. I mean, so that's a big question. I'm just thinking about 10 examples in my head at once, of intelligent people who have sought the services of a trainer and And you just know if it's good or not. I mean, a trainer's got to be super present. They've got to be caring. They've got to follow up with calls and text messages. They've got to come to sessions with plans and be proactive. It's not just, hey, Ali, I'm talking to you for the 45 minutes we're going to spend together this week. Like, the whole point of any business is to get clients. And once you get them, you've got to just nurture them and look after them like they're the most precious things in the world.
Absolutely. And maybe do a bit of research,
It's a bit of research, yeah. I mean, most people that spot a personal trainer, especially in a commercial health club environment, will probably observe for a few months, and they'll look around and see this guy and see him with other people, and they'll go, that guy looks like the kind of guy that might work for me. But yeah, look, it can be a hit and miss, but geez, that can be a powerful relationship when you get it right. I mean, the amount of 5 and 10 year clients that we have is really unbelievable. It changed their whole life, not just their health and fitness.
Well, hopefully this person will have an Embody near them and they'll be guaranteed that they'll get a good trainer. So, Scott, I've got to ask you one question before I let you go. It's a question that I ask all our guests on the show. Do you have a tattoo?
No, I don't. No, I always think about it, but it's like a painting on the wall. Like I know that at some point I'm going to get sick of that painting.
I envisaged you had one on your belly button or something like that.
No. I'm thinking about it. Thinking about the kids' names, but everybody knows what their names are. I don't need to get it tattooed on me. No, I don't know. Yeah, like I see some guys and girls with tattoos and think they look really cool. And then you also see the opposite, but too permanent for me at this point. Why do you ask?
Just tells me a lot about people.
Oh, geez. Have you got one?
You'll have to listen to the episode about me.
Righto. I'll interview you next time.
Awesome. Look, Scott, thank you so much for your insights on not only, the fitness industry and gyms and where they're going, but also, I guess, your expertise of 20 years in the industry and also just experience in running a successful and several successful gyms. I'm very excited about Embody and I hope to see a few more of those around in the future.
Oh, thanks a lot, Ali. Yeah, I really enjoyed today and hopefully there's a few little valuable nuggets of wisdom in there.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Bye for now.
For all the resources and show notes from today's episode, please go to www.ali.fitness. If you liked today's episode, please show your appreciation by going to iTunes, give us a 5-star review and subscribe.